At 10:42 a.m., two patrol cars roared into my driveway, their lights slicing through the morning calm. I was on my porch, sipping a rich Ethiopian blend from my favorite mug, with Assistant State Attorney Jennifer Huang's voice crackling through my phone speaker. The officers stepping out of their cars looked more puzzled than purposeful. Across the cul-de-sac, Patricia Garrison, the self-crowned queen of the Maplewood Heights HOA, was shrieking about stolen motorcycles and traumatized youth. Her 22-year-old son, Bradley, stood beside her, clutching a Monster Energy drink like it was a courtroom exhibit. I took another sip. The coffee's warmth grounded me as I watched the scene unfold with the same detached amusement I usually save for watching neighbors wrestle with IKEA furniture. My name is Robert Davidson, a 47-year-old mechanical engineer who craves nothing more than a quiet life tinkering with my 2012 Harley-Davidson and firing up the grill on weekends. 6 months ago, Maplewood Heights seemed like the perfect place to settle. The lawns were pristine, the streets spotless, and the property values rock solid. The real estate agent, all smiles and glossy brochures, conveniently forgot to mention Patricia Garrison. Within 48 hours of moving in, she was at my door, her pressed khakis and HOA polo screaming authority, a clipboard clutched like a scepter. With a smile as sharp as a razor, she informed me that my Harley lowered the neighborhood's tone. Her voice dripped with practiced sweetness, but her eyes gleamed with the kind of hunger only power can feed. I thought she was joking. Her delivery was almost cartoonish, but those eyes told me she was deadly serious. When I calmly explained that my motorcycle was legal and staying in my garage, her smile tightened into a grimace that could shatter glass. That moment marked the start of what I'd later call the Great Maplewood Heights War. Patricia's campaign began subtly, like a slow poison. Noise complaints started appearing in my mailbox, typed on official HOA letterhead, time-stamped at hours when I was either at work or asleep. My Harley hadn't been started in days, yet the accusations piled up. Then came letters citing illegal oil storage, because a single jug of motor oil was visible through my garage window. The ordinances she referenced were either misquoted or entirely irrelevant, but each required hours of research to debunk. It was psychological warfare, executed with a pettiness that was almost admirable. The harassment escalated when I caught Patricia leaning over my backyard fence, binoculars in hand, snapping photos of my bike and workbench. When I confronted her, she claimed she was bird watching, despite her lenses being trained squarely on my garage. Her son Bradley started loitering around my driveway when I wasn't home, loudly boasting to his friends about how sick my Harley would look once it was his. The kid radiated entitlement, his souped-up Honda Civic roaring past my house at all hours, bass thumping. Somehow, Patricia never seemed to notice those noise violations. As a mechanical engineer, I'm wired for precision, so I began documenting everything with obsessive detail. Every note, every incident, every suspicious glance was logged, photographed, and backed up to 3 cloud services. My security cameras, originally installed to deter package thieves, became my greatest allies. They caught Patricia measuring my grass with a ruler at 6 a.m., Bradley tested my garage door handle at midnight, and Patricia circling my property, snapping photos like a private investigator gone rogue. My computer now had a folder labeled Evidence, and it was growing by the day. 2 weeks after the binocular incident, Bradley pounded on my door with enough force to shake the frame. When I opened it, he stood there, brimming with the confidence of someone who'd never been told no. He demanded I sell him my Harley for $500, adding that if I refused, his mom would make sure I was run out of the neighborhood. His arrogance was almost comical, like a cartoon villain twirling a mustache. I let out a genuine laugh, which seemed to throw him off, then closed the door in his face. That evening, I compiled my evidence, photos, videos, and a detailed timeline into an email for the state attorney's office, laying the groundwork for a civil harassment case. The response was swift. Assistant State Attorney Jennifer Huang was assigned to my case, and she was intrigued by the sheer volume of my documentation. We scheduled a call for following Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. to discuss next steps. Patricia, sensing her usual tactics weren't working, decided to escalate to DEFCON 1. She called 911, claiming I'd stolen her son's motorcycle, A bold move, considering Bradley didn't own a Harley or any bike at all. Her gambit backfired spectacularly. The patrol cars arrived mid-call with Jennifer Huang, and I switched the phone to speaker. The timing was so perfect it felt scripted. Jennifer greeted the officers by name, instantly grabbing their attention. In her crisp, no-nonsense tone, she explained that Patricia was under investigation for harassment and advised them to note her false police report. The officers, Thompson, a grizzled veteran, and Rodriguez, younger but sharp, exchanged a look that said they'd dealt with Patricia before. Thompson asked for my Harley's registration, which I provided, along with the title, insurance, and purchase receipt from 3 years prior. Bradley, hovering behind his mother like a wannabe enforcer, suddenly looked less sure of himself. Patricia's voice at a fever pitch as she insisted there was some mistake, claiming I'd stolen something, and that Bradley had been promised my bike. Rodriguez turned to Bradley, asking point-blank if he'd ever owned a Harley. The kid mumbled something incoherent about a verbal agreement, his Monster Energy drink trembling in his hand. Across the street, Patricia's face crumpled like a punctured tire as the officers took my statement instead of cuffing me. Jennifer's voice cut through the speaker, cool and authoritative, informing the officers that this false report will be added to Patricia's existing case file. Those 3 words, existing case file, hit Patricia like a sledgehammer. Her carefully curated HOA president persona cracked, revealing raw panic. Within 24 hours, county detectives paid Patricia a visit, not the HOA board, but actual law enforcement. Filing a false police report while under investigation for harassment is, apparently, a bad idea. Bradley wasn't spared either. My Ring camera footage, showing him try my garage door handle multiple times at midnight, earned a low whistle from the detective and a muttered comment about probable cause. Bradley's face turned the color of sour milk. That evening, I started my Harley, letting its engine purr for exactly the duration allowed by city noise ordinances. Not a second more or less. The bike gleamed under the garage light, a defiant symbol of victory. Meanwhile, Patricia's minivan was towed for unpaid tickets she conveniently overlooked during her crusade. The tow truck rolled up during the HOA's monthly meeting, which Patricia insisted on hosting in her driveway. The irony wasn't lost on the board members watching from folding chairs. An emergency HOA meeting was called the next week. I wasn't invited, but my neighbor Sandra, a retired librarian with a knack for gossip, gave me a full recap. Patricia tried to frame the whole ordeal as a misunderstanding, but the board had already seen the police report and a local news article headlined, HOA president faces harassment charges. The vote to oust her was unanimous, even her former allies turning against her. Patricia knocked over a pitcher of lemonade in a dramatic exit, ranting about lawsuits and revenge, but her reign was over. She voluntarily resigned, though everyone knew it was a forced ejection. The legal fallout was swift. Patricia's false police report earned her a $10,000 fine and 200 hours of community service. Bradley faced charges for attempted breaking and entering, landing 18 months of probation and a $5,000 fine. In court, Patricia's wail echoed through the hallway when the judge read the sentence, while Bradley just stared at the floor, his bravado gone. My Harley still sits in my garage, polished to a mirror shine. I grill on weekends, sip my coffee on the porch, and nod politely to the new HOA president, a quiet accountant who prefers emails to clipboards. Maplewood Heights is peaceful again, or as peaceful as a suburb can be. And every so often, when I fire up the Harley, I think of Patricia, out there somewhere, picking up litter for her community service, and I smile.